Hello, and welcome. I know that a lot of you have been waiting for this for a very long time, and I'm happy to oblige. Now, I know I've already talked about this book so much. I've talked about the cocktails in it. I've talked about Shannon Mustipher. But it's still the book that you all message me the most about. You comment the most on those videos. And it is the #1 book that anyone buys on my bookshop. As well as my Amazon affiliate list of cocktail books. Now, all things being considered, I figured you would really love to spend a little bit more time with this book. So, let's do that. Tiki. It only feels right to match the Monstera with the Monstera. I am going to shout out that the photographs are by NoFX, which is already a pretty cool name. And takes pretty good photos. I'll give you a little glimpse of those in a second, but I am going to read the dedication. Dedicated to all those who dream of a better place and bring it to the people around them. Now let's do a nice quick little flip through so you can really see these beautiful photos. Every photo in this book really makes you want to make that drink. No matter how complicated it is, it just really makes you want to get in there and try something new. So, I'm actually going to go to the back of the book to start. Here we have some music recommendations for tropical cocktails. Very important. You've spent all this time creating beautiful cocktails, and now it's time to set the vibe. Some fun things in here, some classics. Got exotic percussion, excuse me. From Stanley Black. It's from 1961. I think I've heard that one in my house growing up. believe these are a lot of compilations. I do really like this last one. The Ladies of Too Slow to Disco. Now, the wonderful thing about this part of the book is that it's helping you out. In any cocktail book or cookbook, I always appreciate whenever the author really takes some time to provide context. For example, I fully believe that we should talk about rum the way we talk about wine, because the taste of the rum is really going to depend on where the sugarcane was grown. The soil really affects it. I have some Hawaiian rum in my bar right now, and every new Hawaiian rum I try is so surprising and delightful. And if you can find some near you, just try it. I haven't had a bad Hawaiian rum yet. But for the most part, the other differentiator of what makes rums different are basically who colonized that area. So you have English style rum, and that's in former British colonies like Barbados, Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, St. Lucia, and of course Jamaica. Jamaican rum will often be specifically called out. They have, yes, it says right here, long fermentation techniques, and that really is what helps it be this funky and unmistakable experience. And we also have French style rums, and these are a little more vegetal, more grassy. I'll actually come back to talking about these in a moment. Then there's Spanish style rums. These are going to be your Dominican rums, Puerto Rico, Venezuela. And then I love this reference to Batavia Rock, which is a South Asian beverage. And that's basically the mother of rum. It is how we figured out how to make this. I've lost my pointer. So over here, she mentions some other cane juice spirits, including aguardiente and cachaça. There's also clarín, which I might be mispronouncing. That's from Haiti. And all of these are made with fresh sugarcane juice, which can be its own thing, but also relates to the French style. So it's rum agricole. So these kind of rums are going to be that grassy, vegetal sort of experience. It's a little bit fresher, a little bit brighter. I will say the French style rums can be aged, and so you can get a little bit more complexity in there, but generally you're talking about some pretty fresh stuff. But yeah, this section of the book is great as you get into also the aging processes and the different blends. course, other alcohol you can use. You don't think you're limited to rum when it comes to tiki drinks or tropical drinks. Some important ones are going to be in the liqueur space. It's going to be allspice rum and Valernum. They're both a little bit hard to find. I think Valernum has gotten easier to find over the years, but allspice rum is still pretty rough. I think I saw a bottle somewhere, and I literally just like jumped up and down. Okay, now we're into the ingredients, and this is such a great section because this book, I feel like generally speaking, gets the recipes get a little bit more complicated as you go on. You start to get into purees and your syrups, and here's Shannon shaking up something great, I'm sure. And things can start off pretty simple and get a little more complicated. You can start with a honey syrup base, and then suddenly you're at a passion fruit honey syrup. I believe there's a tea syrup here. It's also pretty fun. But this is why we're really at the back of the book. Tools and equipment. Now, a lot of this is pretty standard fare, but the swizzle stick is a very unique tool that is generally only used with tiki and tropical drinks. Now, a lot of people would call this a swizzle stick. It's disposable. You can put it in a drink. Typically, you have some garnishes on there. It's a little festive. But it's really just a cocktail pick, much like this one. Now, if you really want to see a swizzle stick, it's going to look a little bit more like this. The original swizzle sticks, I believe that is a bolo belle stick. It's literally a branch from a tree with a similar shape to this, and you use it to mix drinks. Typically, it's going to be a longer drink, and it's going to be full of crushed or pebbled ice. Now, it's quite long, so I can't fully show you the action here, but you basically get two hands on it, and you just slide your hands back and forth, and up and down, and you mix your drink. I think it's a really fun bar tool, and I think it's worth getting if you really love these kinds of cocktails. I have a metal one instead of a wood one because these drinks use a lot of special ingredients, and a lot of them can include different kinds of nuts. So just to be safe, and not have the cross-contamination. I really love the way this is designed. But yeah, to not have any cross-contamination, I thought it would be better to go with a metal one. And also it'll just last longer. I'll have this for a long time. You'll notice I have a lot of copper barware. And I just like the style of that, but I know with time it'll get a patina, it'll change, it'll look older, and that's okay. I'm not gonna replace it, I'm not gonna get a new one, because it's fine, it still works. It's still clean. I don't think you have to constantly be replacing things. I think tools should look like you use them. Yeah. Alright. I don't think there's anything else to scintillating back here. Just more, get into some Tiki mugs, garnishes, a little garnish 101. This is a nice flat lay page. Now, some Tiki mugs, whenever I see a Tiki mug that's kind of like this, I'm a little bit wary of it, because a lot of the original Tiki mugs are based on actual Polynesian deities. So, I think like this skull mug is pretty fun. I think this is probably like meant to be a siren of some sort. And there's a lot of these. I think you can get like Star Wars themed mugs and all sorts of things, but yeah, I'd rather go a little bit more new school. Just feels weird. Be like, I don't know, just, it feels weird to drink booze out of a religious state, like figures representation. Okay, let's go back to the beginning. Yeah, we start off with some foundational cocktails. Got the Bombo, the Caipirinha, the Canchanchara, hope I'm saying that right, Grog, of course, classic, and Tea Punch, and a Floridita Daiquiri. So you'll see in this section here, pretty straightforward. Couple of ingredients, 3 ingredients for the Caipirinha, national drink of Brazil, absolutely delicious. These are also very simple, straightforward. These are the drinks that are like, you've had a long day. You've already stocked your bar with all of this great tiki stuff. So why not just have like a really nice, simple drink? Not a lot of fuss with garnishes either. it's a nice easing you into the world of these cocktails. Now, building on this foundation, we have some Tiki classics, of course, some major ones here: Planter's Punch, Zombie, Mai Tai, Jungle Bird. And these all have their creation years, and they're credited. Very important. I think it gets harder and harder to credit cocktails these days because there's more bars and everyone's on social media, and I mean, I've created some things, quote unquote, created some drinks, and then I'll be researching something and go, oh, someone already invented that drink in 1995. So, this is a really fun glass for a zombie. Actually make it some of these if I can find them. And yeah, not every single recipe has a photo, but that's alright. This is a classic Mai Tai. We'll see a different version of this later. Of this classic hurricane glass. And yes, as you've probably noticed going through, there's a lot of things going on in these drinks. This one's a little more easy to get into. But yeah. Then we have our sours. Here's Shannon again. You'll find a lot of grated nutmeg as a garnish. That's just really works well with a lot of these flavors. So, yeah, I would definitely say if you're really going to get into this, get yourself a microplane so you can grate yourself some nutmeg. Escape to Fantasy Island. That sounds really nice right now. Ooh. This was really fun to make. I believe I have a video of this on TikTok. It is a little more involved. You have to make a smoked tea vodka. It's just a light infusion, some honey syrup. It's a lot of specialty items like cardamom bitters, but once you have cardamom bitters, it's shelf stable, and so few recipes call for it, so it's worth the purchase in my humble opinion. But yeah, this is a really lovely, like, complex drink, and it's so beautiful. If you have the time and the patience, I highly recommend it. Ooh. Some of these pages are having a hard time opening because I'm just gonna go to the page that I'm always on. This is the SOS Mai Tai. Now, Ian Bancroft is at the SOS Tiki Bar. The SOS Tiki Bar in Atlanta, Georgia created this. It's a nice little riff. And it really, really adds some drama. But I really love the use of a flaming lime shell because you do need lime juice for this cocktail. So you get to not totally waste it. It gets to still have some fun. You're still using the lime. Yeah, this is great at home. I wouldn't always, I'm sure it's fine at the SOS Tiki Bar, but not every bar, not every other bar that might try and do this cocktail is going to have the cleanest limes. So this is a fun one that I like to do at home. And you get this fun effect by sifting some cinnamon over the top. It's a delicious drink. It isn't too complicated to bring together. And it's a real crowd pleaser. Flight of the Albatross. See, there's things like this where it's just going to be a little bit harder to do because you first need to find some aguardiente near you and then infuse it with anise, whatever your regional pronunciation is. You've got to make some cinnamon syrup, get some red rice horchata. So you're basically making a lot of this. But once you infuse the aguardiente, once you make the cinnamon syrup, you'll have those for a little while. So you could make more of these, use them in other cocktails, and she has little references to other pages that tell you how to make it. Ooh, this sounds delicious. I do really love pisco. Pisco's operating in an interesting space, kind of not really rum, not really cachaça either. It's really unique, and I love a pisco sour. Oh yes, the tamarindita. I love tamarind. I didn't always as a kid. It's funny the things you kind of grow into, but yeah. It's rare, but I do love to see tamarind something on a menu when I'm out and about, so definitely worth a shot. And you get to use chinar. That's one of those bottles you buy, and that's kind of your bottle for the rest of your life, depending on the size you got. Let's see. What else we got here? Windfall. Oh yes, the punch section. So yeah, these can be more labor-intensive drinks. So it is nice to have this section for if you're throwing a party with friends. just make a really nice big batch of delicious cocktails. Yes. And here we have a nice example of a tiki bowl or scorpion bowl. Scorpion bowls are fun. I do like the trend we've been doing towards fish bowls, because this is also part of like a special ceremony in Fiji, I believe. So, yeah, that's what happens when you kind of take things from a culture without getting the whole story. But now we're in a lovely part of our phase of tiki and tropical drinks where I really feel like everyone's being a lot more intentional. I think that was a gin drink. It's not often, but every once in a while you'll see some gin in a tropical drink. I love the sponge bowl. It's so fun. Okay. It's gorgeous. Need to get one of these, but I don't know where I'd keep it when I'm not hosting. Oh yes, the Scully Court Punch. This is a really fun bourbon tiki drink. That's the wonderful thing about these kinds of drinks. It's a lot of the flavor you're getting is from the spices and the juices that you're using. So you can really let pretty much any alcohol come out and play, so to speak. And we're back at the end, or the beginning. So yeah. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. And yeah, as I mentioned before, you can find Tiki in my bookshop affiliate list as well as my Amazon affiliate list. It's honestly a beautiful book, and it's worth getting. It's I mean, I shouldn't pick favorites, but it is also one of my favorites, so happy to spend some time with you guys with what seems to be all of our favorite cocktail book. Okay. I hope you enjoy these